This lesson video and the upcoming lesson videos are all going to be about proportional relationships. So let's start with a definition of what proportional means. Proportional means that we have two units or variables that have a constant ratio. Or constant is another word for the same, and ratio is just a fancy word for a fraction. So they always have the same fraction. Okay, other terms that mean the exact same thing as proportional that you might see in other lesson videos or on your assignment would be directly proportional, or two things can vary directly. These two things mean the exact same thing as proportional. So let me give you a few examples. First of all, let's start out with an example of two units that have a proportional relationship. So the units that we're comparing are dogs and paws. So this should be something that we're all familiar with. If we have one dog, how many paws does that mean there are? Well, one dog has 4 paws. Okay. If I have 2 dogs, how many paws are there? 4 and 4 is 8. If I have, let's see, 6 dogs, how many paws does that mean there are? Well, there's 4 on every dog, so 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, so obviously there's some kind of relationship going on here, and it's proportional because the ratio is constant. Now remember, a ratio means a fraction, so let's set this up as a fraction. Let's do paws to dogs. Okay, so here's my ratio, and I want to make sure that the ratio is constant or the same for every single line. Okay, so if I have 4 paws in the first line, that means I have 1 dog. And 4 divided by 1 is just 4. Okay, if I have 8 paws in the second line, that means I have 2 dogs. But 8 divided by 2, that's just 4. And finally, if I have 24 paws, that means I have 6 dogs. But 24 divided by 6, that's just 4. So notice that the number of paws to dogs, the ratio is always constant. There's always 4 paws for every 1 dog. So this is an example of a proportional relationship. So let's move on to an example that's maybe a bit more general. Okay, so this time we're going to compare 2 variables instead of two units. Okay, so this time we're comparing the variable x and y. And this table here is a proportional relationship, but we want to check to make sure it is. And so we need to set up ratios and make sure that the ratios are constant. So a ratio is a fraction, so let's do y over x. And I could do x over y as well, it doesn't matter, but in the future we're going to be doing x over y, so that's the habit I want you to get in. So y over x. So y is 3, x is 1. But 3 divided by 1 is just 3. Okay, and the next line, y over x, would be 6 over 2. And 6 over 2 divided by 2 is also 3. The next line would be 9 over 3. And this fraction reduces to 9 divided by 3 is 3 as well. And finally we have 21 over 7. This fraction reduces, and it's 21 divided by 7 is 3. So notice that we also have a constant rate here. Y is always 3 times bigger than x. See, if we multiply by 3 for each x value, we would end up with what y is. So we had a constant rate here, a constant ratio. So this is another example of a proportional relationship. So keep this definition in mind as we move on through the upcoming lesson videos where we talk about it just a little bit more.